In this video, we're going to look at gas valve pressure testing. In order to check gas pressure, you're going to need to have a manometer. There's various different types that you can get. The incline or U-tube manometer is one of the most popular, and most guys have these. It's a liquid-filled tube, and they're very accurate and never have to be calibrated. And so it's a very popular type of manometer to use for checking gas pressures on gas furnaces. Then there's, of course, the MagnaHelix, which is one of my personal favorites. The MagnaHelix is easy to read and is very accurate. And then, of course, today we have our digital manometers with all of its different attachments and fittings that you can purchase. And these are getting more and more popular as the price decreases. When I go on job sites, I see a lot of times technicians checking gas pressure with one of these gauges. There's nothing wrong with one of these gauges if you're going to use it on checking higher pressures of over an inch or more. But when you're checking manifold pressures on, like for example, two-stage or modulating gas furnaces, where the gas pressure manifold may be under an inch, these gauges are highly unreliable and should not be used to set lower gas manifold pressures. So the place that we want to start is with the incoming gas pressure. Homes that are supplied with natural gas will have a gas meter on them, and most times there are multiple gas appliances within the home. You must make sure that your gas furnace or gas appliance has sufficient incoming gas pressure to support combustion when all the other gas appliances in the home are running. So when you're checking gas pressure at a gas furnace, there's two pressures that you need to check: the inlet gas pressure and the manifold gas pressure. When checking the inlet gas pressure, you must make sure that all the other gas appliances in the home are running when you check this inlet gas pressure. I had a job a number of years ago where a technician had checked the inlet gas pressure and found that it was 10 inches, and he considered it was sufficient enough to run the furnace. But the furnace kept tripping on ignition faults. I went there and found that the home had an indoor swimming pool, and they had a gas-fired heater on the swimming pool. And whenever that gas-fired heater would fire up, the inlet pressure to the gas furnace would drop down below 2 inches of water column, which was not sufficient to support ignition or combustion. So make sure your inlet gas pressure stays around 10 inches when every other gas appliance in the home is being fired. Then your manifold pressure, you need to check your manufacturer's specifications, as depending on what type of furnace you're working on, it could vary as much as 3.5 inches down to below 1 inch of water column on the manifold pressure. So check your manufacturer's specifications for the correct setting. So the way that we've been checking gas pressure for years is to take the fitting out of the gas port and install a barbed fitting in there so you can put your hose from a manometer on there. And then the screw fitting, you take that off, and underneath there is a screw that underneath is a spring. And this is how we adjust the manifold and the incoming gas pressure on a gas valve. So sometimes, depending on the orientation of the gas valve in the furnace, it's kind of difficult to get in there to get the port out of the gas valve and to get your barbed fitting in there to put the hose on for the manometer. On gas valves before March of 2018, this is the way that we check pressure. After March 2018, there were some changes made to the gas valves and the ports that you check pressure with. So an inlet pressure tap boss was added to the valve, which has a 3/32 inch inlet pressure tap screw that closes off the gas pressure. The 1/8 inch inlet pressure tap still remains on most gas valves, as it is still required for the low pressure switch that is installed on the gas valve in a propane conversion kit. You also have a manifold pressure boss that was added, which these two towers, one for the inlet pressure and one for the manifold pressure, makes it easier to check the gas pressure on the gas valve. So the manifold pressure tap has changed also with the 5/16 inch tower port, which has a 3/32 inch outlet pressure tap screw, which needs to be turned about 1 revolution to open the port for the pressure to be tested for gas pressure. Also notice that on most gas valves, the 1/8 inch outlet pressure tap has been removed and is no longer available. So both the input gas pressure and the manifold pressure has this little 3/32 screw inserted in it to cut off the gas pressure. You don't need to remove the screw completely to check pressure. You only need to rotate it out about 1 revolution. And make sure that when you're done, you close it to cut off the pressure to the gas valve. White Rogers has put together this little kit to be used with manometers using 1/4 inch hoses. The RC part number is 92-1003. The kit contains a 3/32 hex wrench to open the little 3/32 screw that's in the pressure tap. It has a 1/4 inch by 5/16 adapter and a 5/16 by 2 inch tube to put onto the tower port on the gas valve. So for checking the inlet gas pressure with most orientations of the gas valve, these ports will be staring right at you as you open the door of the gas furnace, making it easy to put your 3/32 hex wrench on the screw, turn it open 1 turn, put your hose on, and check the incoming gas pressure. So once you get the screw turned open, then you're ready to put the 5/16 inch tube on the tower on the gas valve, put the adapter on top, and then hook your 1/4 inch hose from your manometer onto the top of the adapter, and you're ready to check your incoming gas pressure. Once you're finished checking the inlet gas pressure, be sure to close the screw after checking the pressure. So checking your manifold pressure is the same process, using your 3/32 hex wrench to open the screw on the manifold pressure tower on the other side of the gas valve. Once you've opened the screw, you put your 5/16 tube on the tower with the adapter, and you're ready to read the pressure with your manometer. Once again, when you're finished checking the manifold pressure, make sure to close the port after checking the pressure. Normally, your gas valves take a 2-wire connection to supply 24 volts to the gas valve in order to open the solenoid so that the gas can flow through the gas valve. Modulating gas furnaces have gas valves with stepper motors in them, and the control board communicates with the gas valve to open and close the valve depending on the stage of operation. This communication voltage is usually DC voltage signals. You'll need to consult the manufacturer's troubleshooting guide for the voltages you should see from the control board to the gas valve, and also the feedback voltage from the gas valve back to the board. So as we state many times in our training, in order to check voltages on these small plugs, you're going to need the small skinny probes for your voltmeter. The big fat probes that usually come with the voltmeters will damage these plugs and connectors and will cause you more problems than any good it can do. You will need to check both ends of the wiring harness to make sure that the correct voltages are being sent from the control board to the gas valve and the correct feedback voltage is being sent back from the gas valve. Don't forget to check the output through the harness, as a lot of times the harness plugs or wiring is the issue. On these modulating gas valves, the pressure adjustment is done with a small screw that adjusts the movement of the stepper motor inside the gas valve. Make sure that when adjusting one of these gas valves, you turn the screw 1 click per second and no faster, as you may damage the stepper motor.
Go to Airefco.com for more videos. Like, subscribe, and check back every week for new videos.